Hey, real estate rock stars, welcome to the whole enchilada of real estate investing, the only podcast that serves up the full feast of street smart strategies to build wealth and take control of your financial future. I'm Lou Brown, and I've been in the real estate game since 1976, so I've learned how to make the whole plate worth it. Each week, I'll be dishing out creative financing hacks and proven systems that help investors build multi-million-dollar businesses. No fluff, just the good stuff straight from the source. Ready to dig in and start making deals? Let's get to it. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of the whole enchilada of real estate investing. And I am excited today to introduce you to someone that has an incredibly varied background and someone who's going to give you some great insight into investing in unique ways in real estate. And that is Kadia Brooks. How are you, Kadia?
You so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So tell us who you are and where you're from and your background.
I'm actually from Florida, Gainesville, Florida, and I was born and raised there. Actually, from a small town that's very close to it, but if I said the town, you wouldn't know. So that's why I just told people I'm from Gainesville. And when I was 18 years old, I went to the military. And after I had my first son, I realized that the military was not conducive for our family anymore. And so I separated when my son was about 6 months. My husband and I both separated from the military, and we immediately jumped into real estate. And that's how we got started there.
Wow, wow. So you've been doing this for a long time. In fact, you started, what I meant by that is very young. And that's a great thing. You've got a great runway to go a long way. Funny thing, I got started when I was 18, bought my first house when I was 18. And so it's been a fun ride ever since, that's for sure. Congratulations on that. So, what kind of investing did you jump into?
Interesting. It was about 3 months after we separated from the military. My husband went to one of those seminars on, oh, would you like to learn how to invest in wholesaling, like wholesaling real estate? And we were completely like oblivious to it. And that's what kind of introduced us. So we started out actually in the wholesaling space and driving for dollars and doing all of that. We had a 6-month-old with us, and we were just determined to not we were both in the military, and we were like two ships passing in the night, and we barely spent time together. We now have a new baby. We have to kind of figure out a life that's a little bit more conducive for us together as a family. And so that was our drive behind making this real estate thing work.
That's great. That's great. So, what you just taught us here is get with it and stick with it. You hear what to do, you hear how to do it. Now you just gotta have to go do it. And I love that. I think that's so impressive. So, how long was it from when you started learning till you actually did your first deal?
It was within the first year that we actually started wholesaling, and we got out of wholesaling actually pretty quickly once we realized how the financing structures work. So we were continuously learning, or we were continuously learning. And I think we picked up a book by Jorge Perez, and he's like a developer, a real estate developer. I don't know how we came across the book. I think it was just something I picked up from the library. And he introduced us to Section 8 HUD financing. And we were like, oh, wow, like HUD will finance 95% of these deals. You tack on a few low income tax credits, and now you can fund deals 100% finance. I was like, this is amazing. And so we quickly went from wholesaling, just driving for dollars. And then we got in touch with a probate lawyer who taught us basically how to wholesale probate deals.
So that is really exciting and interesting. One of my favorite things is probate deals. And
Yes.
so it's great that you were able to connect with that probate attorney who, because of conflict of interest, cannot buy those properties, but certainly can bring somebody else into the picture that can take those properties. And, there's always the opportunities that come with probate where you've got the house that's usually dated, that's usually full of the treasures of the parents, but none of the kids want them and they live 400 miles away. So it's one of my favorite, it's one of my favorite ways to buy property.
Eager. They're so eager, and that's what makes it so great. With I feel like with wholesaling, especially when you're driving for dollars, you're trying to convince someone that they need to sell, opposed to the probate situation where they already have a motivation, and it makes it so much easier.
That's great. So how long did you do probate deals?
That space for about a year and a half. This is 2018 going into 2019. Everything paused during COVID. When COVID happened, we decided to travel. We're from Florida, and I know there was a lot of states that were not open, but Florida was open very quickly. So we kind of didn't deal with the brunt of COVID issues as much as other states for sure. And so we were just like, let's go travel. And that was actually our first time we came to Italy. But after that, beyond that, so about 2019 onward, we focused on just what's a little bit more sustainable, because even with the wholesaling, it was just a little bit difficult. Again, we have a newborn baby at this time. Cool. We understand how the deals work. We understand all this. We're learning about HUD at this time. We're getting in touch with different lenders. We're learning about how to structure deals with using mezzanine debt and all types of things. And so we're just like, okay, this is what we need to transition into. We need to transition into passive income and cash flow. This is what's going to work best for our family. And so I think between introduction to wholesaling in 2018, COVID in 2020, by 2021, we're fully on the road of like, let's go after multifamily apartments.
Multifamily. So you transitioned into multifamily in America?
In America, yes.
Hmm.
And that
And
was
so,
incredibly interesting because it was just one, it was amazing to see how just all the opportunities with Section 8. And I know that there's a lot of people, you either really like Section 8 or you really do not like Section 8. But for when you're coming from nothing and you're just hoping something sticks, like you're like, okay, hey, money is money, cash flow is cash flow, it doesn't matter where it's coming from. So we were in no place to be picky, but we were just like, how do we make this work?
I love it. I love it. So apartments are just single family homes all scrunched together on one deed. So
Yep.
I cut my teeth on multifamily properties getting started and definitely have had a lot of experiences. I'm a veteran of over 1,000 Section 8 contracts, so I know that business too. And I'm down to one now.
It,
One person on Section
yes.
8, that is. So have you continued to be in the Section 8 world?
No. And I think it was a good starting space, but I think you eventually transition out of it. One thing I did like about Section 8 was that we did like the aspect of one, the ability for HUD to be able to finance almost 100% of the deals. And then obviously the ability to use low income tax credits and then opportunity zone funds, depending on where you're investing. That was very nice. And for someone who was a complete beginner, it was game changing for us. We also like the aspect of how every year rents are raised very substantially, so about between 7 to 8%, that rents are raised on Section 8 each year. And so eventually you do get to a place where long-term hold of Section 8 can actually surpass what is market rate. So you can actually hold on to them for a long time and actually get a lot of benefit from them. Obviously, the rents start lower, but over time, depending on how long you want to hold them, it actually can come out very good. So we did like those aspects of it. But one thing that we still felt like we were just dealing with it not being, I think there's a such thing as passive income, is it? Because you're still working it. You're still working it. So I think that's the goal. That's what we were trying to figure out. It was like, oh, people were talking about passive income, but we're still doing a lot of work here.
It's not feeling passive, is it? No,
I'm supposed to be on a beach somewhere.
it's just a term for tax purposes, right? It's not like
Yes.
there's no active duty here
Yes.
with this responsibility to earn this passive income. And I say that the government bribes us to do this, and the way they bribe us is through the tax benefits. And otherwise, government would have to provide all this housing, and they really, really do need us, and they need landlords. And the good thing is that they pay us for it and they pay us handsomely, as you just
Yes.
proved with the 7 to 8% per year rental increase, which is very dynamic. My rule with Section 8 was if I can't earn at least $100 above market, I don't even want to mess with it. And so, generally speaking, we were getting very significant rents above cash market. But you have to put up with the annual inspections, you have to put up with the mentality that comes with that too. The folks that are occupying the properties are sometimes quite challenged in their raising and what they consider to be the right way things are done. And so it's a real challenge for the landlord. And that's why, guys, my advice is you better be making some good money at it to take that on. Well, let's move on to where you transitioned to, because are you still doing multifamily properties?
Focus particularly on multifamily anymore in the US. I think that everything in the US moving forward, we want to focus on build to rent, which is basically building homes that are then renting out. We're moving into a space where people no longer have the drive to buy per se, but they still want the just convenience of a home, of a garage, of a fenced in backyard for their dogs and for their kids. And so the build to rent models is what we have been exploring. And I think that's what we're ultimately going to move towards as far as just the best return on investments. Acquisitions right now, we're just not focused on acquisitions right now. We want to wait for the US to calm down a little bit on the acquisition front. But I think our moving forward, our goal is development and mainly into build to rent.
So, what are you doing now? And we haven't even told everyone where you are at the moment.
Yes, we are in Italy right now. Yes, so our home, we just purchased a home this year in Italy, and it was a crazy experience, but I realized that this is the aspect of what people hope for with multifamily and things like that. But the returns and things like that aren't necessarily realized in the same way. And so here it's amazing. So the home that we bought with, we put a $60,000 down, 60,000 euro down payment down on a home, and in our first year, we're going to be able to do at least 200,000 euro just in wedding venue. It's a wedding venue, luxury wedding venue location, and exclusive stays, as well as because of the historic nature of the home, which is Italy, right? Most homes are historic. We can also use it for events, we can use it for commercial filming and all of that. And so once we were able to realize that the aspect of how cheap homes are here and the level of tourism that takes place here, it was a no brainer for us to transition into actually owning luxury properties overseas.
Owning luxury properties overseas. Now, that is a new one, and one that I think a lot of people weren't thinking. So, how is it that you made that decision?
We travel so much. We travel so much, and so we are intimately aware of like, oh, we're walking down the streets and seeing, oh, what these apartments are for sale for, and these homes and things like that. And so we were already kind of aware a lot of Italy, and we're just like, hey, we know how much we're spending on Airbnbs here, but we spent however much money, like we spent 15,000 euro to stay at this apartment for 3 months because we normally travel to Europe for 3 months at a time. But these apartments, we're looking at these realty agencies, and most of them post their listings right on the window. So when you're walking down the street, you can see them right on the window.
Uh,
These are selling for 70,000 euro, 60,000 euro, and they just got 15,000 just from our short off-season stay. And so it actually caused us to actually look into it a little bit more because we're just like, hey, the tourism pays here. And that's how we transitioned into that. We're like, okay, like we want the US to calm down a little bit, and we'll go back into development and be in our build to rent phase. And that's our end goal with America. But there are so many opportunities in other countries. And then we just landed here in Italy.
that's fascinating. So, you put 60,000 euro down, and what's the value of the home?
And is so it's weird. So in Europe, they don't have comps the way we do in America.
Right.
Your price that you pay, your purchase price, is literally whatever the agent and the owner wants you to spend on it. The home was originally for sale for 1.2 million, and we got it for 550,000 euro.
Oh, yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. So, I mean, when we look at the kind of leverage that is only $60,000 down, so even in Europe, even in Italy, it's possible to get seller financing, huh?
Absolutely. And actually, it's more common here because here, both the buyer and the seller are penalized with a mortgage tax, a 2% mortgage tax that's on the purchase price. And so it's actually more common for not only seller financing to be done, but no agents. So, no agents. You're dealing with direct owners, you're not dealing with extra fees. And that's the way they like it because both buyer and seller bear the brunt of these fees here. And most of the times don't make that much money. And so these deals are very, very common.
Nice, nice. That's a very interesting thing that they would penalize the creation of money because that's what a mortgage is. It's creating money out of thin air. And so, because of the fact that you're doing equity financing, it makes a lot of sense and you actually save money doing it. So, there's an incentive for both sides to do it, which is also a fun thing. I have a thing that I teach is called the cost to sell worksheet, where we literally sit down with a seller and have them help us come to the offer price on the property. And we put in all the expenses. So that's a great one there that you can add to the mix and say, okay, this is another expense that has to be considered if we were to get funding from a traditional source, or we can actually pay you that money if we were to work out a deal together. So you not only got a discount, you got the seller to carry back financing, you put a low amount down, and you were able to get and recover your investment, your initial down payment investment very quickly.
The first year, we've covered it times three, just in weddings alone, because the home is a wedding venue. And so, and it amazed us to see what people actually paid in destination weddings. Oh my gosh, we were blown away by
What
how
do
much
people
people
pay for
pay.
wedding venues?
Oh my gosh. So the average wedding in Italy, the average destination wedding in Italy is 75,000 euro.
Whoa, for the venue.
So for the home, for the venue, as well as food, the average is 75,000 euro, with the venue being the bulk of that.
Food and venue. Wow. So that's an interesting little niche, weddings, and being able to have that spectacular experience. My daughter was married in a home like that in Atlanta, and it was the old Coca-Cola mansion. And yeah, it was a whole thing. It was a whole thing. So those venue type weddings are quite interesting and quite sought after. So that's a really interesting niche. Do you use it for any other purpose?
For accommodation stays as well.
You use it for like an Airbnb or corporate rental as well? Great, great. That is good stuff and definitely very attractive for the income. Is there a big headache for you when you are dealing with transitioning between guests?
Oh, only because we have put together a team. So basically, our own property management team is what being here. That's what we've actually been doing since we've been here now, is putting that together. And so we have all of our team put together. We have a luxury travel concierge who is also the wedding planner that's in-house. We have our catering team. We have our gardeners, our florists, all of the pieces that go together into creating an experience for both accommodation and wedding venues is what we've been doing since we've been here. And we actually have, and when we leave here in January, middle of January, we actually have a guest who's checking in a couple weeks after that.
So do you stay there in the meantime?
Yes, we're staying in the home now in the meantime.
Yeah, baby. So you get personal use of it as well. Now, what are taxes like in Italy?
They have the same system as far as like being able to itemize and deduct like in America. And so it's very advantageous. The corporate tax here is about 24%. And so, but they do have a lot of benefits, incentives for agritourism. because our home is it's a garden venue. And, just like you have different tax incentives for, having agricultural property or anything like that, is very much the same over here. Anything centered on tourism is also highly subsidized by the government and encouraged and incentivized. And so it's very conducive.
Okay, tax benefits for offering a venue like that. That's interesting. So I admire your courage for stepping out. It was probably your experience with traveling all over the world with the military, huh, that gave you the freedom to look at other venues and other places. Is that one of the attractions?
I definitely think so. As soon as I joined the military, 5 months after I joined, I got stationed in South Korea. And so that was it, my thrown into you're just in it now, right? You're just thrown into it. And so we've been traveling ever since. When we decided to homeschool our children, we were like, okay, perfect. Our children can also travel with us. So our children have been to Greece, they've been all over Europe, they've been to South Korea, Japan, and they're only 6, 5, and 2. And they've been all over the world.
Oh, congratulations. That is so beneficial for them to be able to see that there is a world out there. You
Yeah.
know, I've done the same thing. I've taken my kids all over the world and we've had a great experience and we used to do homeschooling as well. So that's always something that they're getting benefits that they never would get if they were in the traditional schooling system. So
Right.
congratulations on that too. Wow, you are a measure. You are something very exciting and definitely you've got a lot of interesting experience so far in your investing career. How long have you been investing?
Will be about 7 years now.
About 7 years. 7 years.
7 years. Yeah,
That's fantastic.
we started, I was 21 and my husband was 30. And so now I'm 28 and he's 37. And we've been pretty much retired ever since we've left the military. We've never worked an additional job.
I love that. I love that. And isn't that one of the great things about real estate? It provides freedom, right?
Yeah.
Go anywhere you want, anytime you want, stay as long as you like, and buy anything you want. That's my definition around freedom and giving you the opportunity to just have a better life than the one you've got, for sure. So that has led you into this great thing called real estate. Now, somebody just getting started in the business, what would your advice be to them?
Definitely utilize the aspect of building that extra funding to get started. So the purpose behind wholesaling and things like that, right? You're building up that initial capital so that you can go and invest in that first deal or that first apartment or anything like that. I think that one thing that we did that was separate from wholesaling that was fairly new. I mean, I don't know how we came across it besides just internet scouting because that was our when I say we did not want to work an additional job, we were committed to never working an additional job again. So we were dibble dabbling in everything. But then we came across something called tax residual investing, or it may be called tax overage investing. There's many different names for it. But basically, that was our main thing that would say, okay, this is where all of the funding is. And it's remote, does not require you to go meet people or do anything, no driving for dollars. No, it's easy.
Oh man, that is fantastic. So you do research on public records. So
Yes.
on the tax overages that someone was foreclosed on, they don't know that they can actually claim those overages. You find those overages, you find them, you offer them the opportunity to get their money, and you get a split of that. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. And
So,
when we found that, we were like, oh my gosh. We were very, we were very, we were very surprised that one, the local government, the town, the tax, they put absolutely no effort into reaching out to these owners to let them know that they have funds. And I think that was what was so surprising for us was that, hey, there are people who, again, they just had their home auctioned and foreclosed. They would probably want to know that they have $50,000 just sitting at the tax office. But unfortunately, that process doesn't happen. They are never informed, and then the money sits there. And in Florida, where we are, the money is it sits for about 3 years before it kind of goes away from the list. It's supposed to go to the state treasury office where they can go and to access unclaimed funds. But really, what happens is it just gets absorbed into that county slush fund.
Yep.
That's what actually happens.
Yep. Yep. It's supposed to be a process called escheat, where they escheat you out of your money. But that's actually a term. And the government has the right to claim it for the benefit of all of the citizens. But
Yes.
interestingly, sometimes it doesn't make it to the state, like you say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you find that money and you find that owner, that previous owner of the property, then what percentage do you get of that?
Usually we don't try to tackle any overages that are less than 30,000, only because there are a lot of big players. There's one, he's a tax sale attorney called, his name's Bob Diamond, and he has not organizations, but companies all over the place. He teaches people how to do it, but he also does it himself. And he typically likes to go for the bigger six figure overages. And those are mostly the ones in the cities like Miami or Orlando or the bigger cities. Whereas we try to go after the medium size because we don't mind working an overage and only getting maybe 7 or 8,000. But if we're doing 4 or 5 of those a month, then it still comes out to something.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So that's a good niche to be able to claim some cash. And
Yep.
yeah, definitely. Bob is a friend of mine, and we've known each other for decades. I've been to his house in Puerto Rico and all
Oh, that's
kinds of stuff.
amazing.
So yeah, so it's fun that we know a couple, one of the same people, and definitely it's an interesting niche, one that needs focus. It's not something just kind of like over there on the side somewhere. You
Yeah.
really got to be able to get with it and stick with it and be diligent in the process of
Yeah.
both ends of the coin of finding the opportunities and then also finding the people and making the deal in between. Some
Yeah.
states restrict the amount you can actually earn on those type of
Yeah.
things too, so it's something to be aware of, that it can change from state to state and even county by county. And so there's distinctions in learning that. So
Yeah.
it's
And
good that you were able to get the benefits of it.
that's what something that was really interesting because again, foreclosures are happening right every week, every day, right? You can actually stay in one state, even in a few counties, and never run out really of just opportunities for to and leads to pursue. That's what I like about it too. You don't have to be in each and every state and learning everything. You actually can stay in Florida for we've actually stayed in Florida for pretty much this whole time. And you have bigger counties like maybe in Marion County around Ocala or Alachua County or like the areas surrounding Orlando. And they have consistent PDF sheets that are uploaded 2 3 times a week that adds on an additional 150, 100, 200. Like it doesn't deplete. And it just continues to stack. And so you actually can pick a location and stay in that location, and it's kind of everlasting.
I love it. I love it. That sounds like a plan and definitely something very unique to pursue for folks that are just getting started. Any parting words that you would like to share?
I think the only thing would be just real estate allows you to just dream big. You can stay. I have friends who are veterans who like to keep it a little bit more simple, right? They house hack, buy a duplex, buy a triplex, and stay in one and rent out the other ones. And then I have friends who are much more risk. I wouldn't say risky, but I think what people have called what we're doing is absolutely risky, right? Going into another country where you don't know the culture, you don't know a lot of things, and just putting your money there, right? But that's the beauty of real estate. That's the spectrum of real estate, is that you are able to actually go go as far as you want with this. And so, and also too, that you're not too young, that it's not something where you have to wait. It's not something where you're waiting to have your money right at the perfect time. You do this along the way. I think you do real estate along the way, so that when you are, whether you have a career or anything like that, you have the benefits of that, right? You have the benefits and security of passive income and cash flow that's gained as you are continuing and progressing throughout your years, and not to wait. Don't wait. Don't wait.
Don't wait, don't wait. I will agree with you 100% there. We are definitely in an opportunity, but it's a funny thing. I've been a teacher for over 40 years, and every time I think about what's the opportunity today, there's always opportunity every single day in this business. And I say that the market changes every single day. So we have the opportunity to step into a new market each day and new opportunities. So I encourage you to get with it and stick with it and cause things to happen in your life. Kadia, what can we do to help you?
Well, I do have a book. It's out on Amazon. It is called Funding the Fundamentals of Financing. It basically walks through the process of how we learn how to 100% finance multifamily properties using HUD and the available tax incentives and credits, as well as using mezzanine debt. And essentially, I'm sure you know what it is, but mezzanine debt is where basically you were normally given a 70 or 75% LTV, whereas mezzanine debt are basically investors that come in and basically take care of the other 25%. Usually, however, you're paying interest only on these, and it's usually for a shorter time, about 3 to 5 years, where after the 5 years of you paying the interest only on it, it's a balloon payment all at once. And so that's something to use strategically so that you can make sure that you have the cash flow and you have the funding or whatever your exit strategy is to be able to pay off the mezzanine debt at the time of that balloon period. And so that's what I explained in the book. And it was amazing for us to be able to have different options and of things to be able to use as we're growing in real estate.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, congratulations on being an author, an international author as well. So definitely you got some great things going on in your world, and keep up the great work. Keep us posted on what's happening in your world, and very entertaining for sure. I so much thank you, Kadia Brooks, for being here today on another edition of the Whole Enchilada of Real Estate Investing with Lou Brown. Yeah, baby. Thanks for tuning in to the whole enchilada of real estate investing. I hope you're feeling ready to take your investing game to the next level. If you're serious about building wealth, you won't want to miss the Millionaire Jumpstart. It's a 3-day live event that's perfect for any level of investor. Whether you're just getting started or you're looking to scale, this can be one of the final steps of making real wealth happen. So, what are you waiting for? Enroll now at millionairejumpstart.com and get ready to make big moves in your real estate journey. I'm Lou Brown. Until next time, keep hustling, and remember, it's not about how much you make, it's about how smart you play the game.